From using kids to pull off the biggest con in internet history, to gaslighting their own audience into thinking they're clinically insane, and worst of all, involving A-list celebrities into pushing a scheme that makes CryptoZoo look good. These are the times when YouTubers promoted the worst scams, starting with MrBeast, who just got exposed by none other than CoffeeZilla, and it appears that a series of bad decisions is what ultimately led to this serious investigation.
The story is more complicated than you think.
From what we've learned, MrBeast may have been involved in one of the most disturbing practices in the crypto world, as he has finally been caught pushing worthless tokens to over 300 million people. But how could someone watch these tokens skyrocket in value, knowing exactly what's going to happen next? Well, in Jimmy's case, when the price hit its peak, what he did next was completely disturbing.
But what he doesn't say is that he'd already purchased a huge stake in Super at this point, and on the day that he's tweeting, he was selling tokens, allegedly.
Meanwhile, his followers were left holding the bag, watching in horror as the value crashed and they lost everything. But was it all just a coincidence, or a part of MrBeast's plan? Because up until now, MrBeast had been playing a game of chess with the internet, where he deliberately stepped into brand new controversies in order to overshadow the illegal ones.
I'll take the hint, we'll change the topic. So how's your song with Trippie Redd?
And now, he even brought back the most likable member in his crew to use him as a pawn to win back the audience's trust.
This is a little higher than I expected, I'm not gonna lie.
This caused a ripple effect where everyone became absolutely sure that nothing will happen to Jimmy because A, he has 300 million subscribers, B, he's internationally famous, and C, 90% of his audience aren't old enough to care about any of this. But as you can tell, Jimmy was playing a much bigger game. He was running from his past. He was hitting two birds with one stone, targeting the biggest audience on YouTube, as well as making videos in his own classic format. But to Jimmy's very own surprise, things took a dramatic turn because CoffeeZilla has come out with an extensive investigation into his biggest promotions, and it has already reached over 5 million views within a single day. And if these claims turn out to be true, he could be facing some serious lawsuits, including fraud charges, as well as criminal charges for things like tax evasion. Right now, Jimmy is using the infamous Jake Paul technique to run multi-layered scams in plain sight and bury them under his brand. You see, Jake is a former YouTuber turned boxer, and at the time of this video, he's fighting Mike Tyson. But while Jake is busy rigging fights, make sure you're subscribed and hit the like button if you're enjoying this video, because unlike Logan Paul, Jake has always managed to put himself in hot water, whether it's for posting a video on YouTube with a semi-nude thumbnail, using the N-word in a freestyle, or being involved in a looting scandal. But with everyone focusing on Jake's obnoxious personality, he used this opportunity in the worst way possible, and it nearly went under the radar until now. You see, in 2018, when all the attention was on the beef between the Paul brothers and the Olatunjis, the Deji vs Jake fight got over 1.3 million views on just YouTube alone. Then just 4 months later, Jake did this.
Guys, we are about to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on mystery boxes.
Jake and a couple of other YouTubers like RiceGum and Connor TV promoted a website called Mystery Brand that allows its users to spend anywhere between $12.99 to $100 on loot boxes to win prizes like cars, houses, and designer clothes. And it all sounded too good to be true.
Mystery boxes. You buy them, you don't know what's gonna be in them. They come to your house, you open it up, and it's a mystery!
According to The Verge, the truth finally came out when many of the Mystery Brand's users made reports receiving fake tracking numbers after purchase, or simply never receiving their products. Some even received items that were either fake or totally off-brand. Following the outrage that took over the internet, YouTubers like PewDiePie and Ethan Klein called out everyone who promoted this scam. Meanwhile, Jake simply went quiet, whereas RiceGum, who posted an apology video, received a lot of the blame, thanks to his own admission of guilt, and most people either forgot about Jake's involvement or just simply moved on. Now if you're Jake Paul, you've got two choices here: apologize and face the heat, or distract everyone by calling out 60-year-old boxers to bury your shady promotions. As Jake walked away from his previous scandal, he went on to promote more projects such as the Sacred Devils NFT, Apes in Space, Bored Bunny, which were all obvious rug pulls, where investors lost more than $22 million. But one of Jake's biggest scams would be Animoon, a $6.3 million rug pull where the founders vanished with all the money and deleted their website and Twitter accounts. In March 2023, the law finally caught up to Jake regarding one of his scams, but he managed to get away with just paying a fine of $400,000. Keep in mind, this was a very small amount compared to what he actually earned, as according to CoffeeZilla, Jake has received more than $2 million from his promotions. But unlike Jake, Anthony Padilla's story is a lot more complicated because he has accidentally become the face of YouTube's worst sponsorship of all time. While many of you know Anthony Padilla from his time at Smosh, he's also known for smashing YouTube with his own series called I Spent a Day With, where he sits down for a deep real conversation with everyone from interest stars to celebrities with wild-like stories. But unlike other podcasts that only focus on bringing the biggest names, Padilla is known for bringing genuine people on this show, and his thoughtful approach has earned him the title of YouTube's Interview King from the Washington Post. But throughout all of his interviews, there's one serious problem.
And of course, this series is made possible by our sponsors like Better.
Padilla has been a long-term advocate of mental health, so it's no surprise that he's constantly recommending BetterHelp, as it's a platform where people can get therapy online. But here's where things get really insane.
BetterHelp online therapy, because sometimes existing is exhausting.
What started as a healthy way to promote mental health, for Padilla, it quickly turned into an income on how to sell mental illness. And you know it's gotten real crazy when someone can make an 8-minute compilation of Anthony saying the exact same thing over and over again. It's almost getting so bad to the point that many of his fans have literally stopped watching him, as he's constantly making them feel like they all need help, and it's driving them insane. And to add salt in the wound, BetterHelp is now exposed as a scam for sharing sensitive personal information in a huge data breach. Basically, they send private details like your health history and email address to major ad platforms like Facebook, Snapchat, and Pinterest without asking for permission. What's even worse is that millions of people who trusted BetterHelp now have their personal struggles exposed for profit.
When in reality, it's a luxury. It's an addition to therapy.
People started sharing their experiences, with one of them having to report the therapist for allegedly being drunk. And not only that, but the therapist cancelled 3 weeks of their session just because she went on a vacation, and she even once started pre-gaming her parties during one of their sessions. As more complaints start to pile up, the FTC finally stepped in and called out BetterHelp for being reckless, and they're now being forced to pay $7.8 million to their victims. But that's just the beginning. In just 3 years, they've lost 97% of their revenue, and they're now getting sued by their own patients. And because of this, Anthony Padilla is caught up in misleading millions of his viewers, because people are 100% sure that he has to know the truth by now, and yet he's still promoting this scam left and right. While Anthony has yet to learn his lesson, iShowSpeed stands out as the only one on this list who managed to expose the very scam he was promoting. In November 2022, Speed did something that would soon come back to haunt him. During a livestream, he promoted a coin named Paradox.
Paradox, it's crypto to the moon.
At first, Speed reacted aggressively to the viewers who called him out, accusing him of being a scammer.
Sold out. They're using you, Speed. This is just sad.
The fact I ever make, like, the fact that y'all just sticking me like that is just crazy.
He started defending himself, insisting he wasn't trying to rip off his fans. Speed asked his moderators to shut down any critical comments. As the backlash grew, things started to get so intense that Speed accidentally left his mic on, which resulted in this.
No. I'm just trying to make. No. Bro, you know what I'm doing, bro.
Eventually, he admitted that he made a huge mistake, claiming he never intended to deceive anyone.
It was not to be like that, bro. I promise y'all, bro.
But by that time, the damage had already been done. Now, at just 17 years of age, Speed likely had no idea what he was getting into. When he endorsed the project as questionable as the Paradox coin, he had no choice but to admit later on that he wasn't that smart when it came down to these things. But when CoffeeZilla dropped his expose video, the fallout was devastating. Paradox coin's flashy promises crumbled under criticism, revealing a scheme that felt eerily similar to a Ponzi scheme. As you can guess, the public opinion flipped overnight, turning on both Speed and the coin he promoted. But the biggest plot twist of all time was when CoffeeZilla revealed that it was actually Moist Critical who gave him the tip to ultimately expose Speed. But just like it took a team effort to bring Speed down, it also took a team effort to bring down everything the FaZe Clan has ever built, by promoting a product so evil that it destroyed them for life. However, the team that destroyed FaZe Clan was actually themselves. You see, FaZe Clan has now become the center of one of the most shocking scandals in esports history. Back in 2010, 2010, they started small, making their name with trick-shotting in Call of Duty, and over the years they became a global powerhouse, even landing on the cover of Sports Illustrated in 2021. It seemed like FaZe Clan had everything until it all came crashing down. In 2021, FaZe Clan was tied to something far worse than just a bad decision. The Save the Kids token was pitched as a way to raise money for the children suffering from serious conditions.
And I support Save the Kids token.
Right from the start, it sounded like a great cause as it was something that anyone could get behind. But in reality, it was nothing more than an absolute lie. Just days after the FaZe members promoted it, the token's value crashed by almost 60%. The members involved, like FaZe K, used the purpose of helping sick kids to lure in investors.
Investing in a lot of cryptocurrency lately, and it's insane, guys.
They made it sound like they were a part of something meaningful, something that could change people's lives, especially kids. But once they had everyone's money, they crashed out and disappeared. It wasn't about helping kids, it was about stealing money from people who trusted them.
I mean, people completely lost their shirts on this thing, and pretty soon people start accusing Rice Gum and these people of getting in on the pre-sale and dumping their bags.
This was no accident. It was a plan from the start. Blockchain analysis showed that FaZe K and others sold their tokens right after promoting the scam. And when CoffeeZilla dug deeper, he found out that FaZe Clan members were connected to other shady figures like Scam Pepper and Jordan Galen, who helped make the scam happen. And make no mistake, the clan's image took a massive hit, and they still haven't recovered from this insane blow up. Not only that, but their biggest team members like FaZe Jev ended up distancing themselves from the crew. So when FaZe was going through a massive destruction, Jack, on the other hand, was busy selling his channel called Disrupt. But just like a fuse that couldn't be put out, everything was about to explode. You see, Disrupt's co-founder Jack had built a massive following with over 1.4 million subscribers. But out of nowhere, Jack made a shocking announcement saying he wanted to share the channel's success with his own fans.
At this present moment, you can own a portion of Disrupt. For a minimum of $100, you will receive 23 shares of the Disrupt Corporation.
He launched a crowdfunding campaign offering viewers a chance to buy a stake in the channel. Jack claimed that Disrupt was worth $10.7 million and was seeking $500,000 for 10% equity. For simply $100, fans could own 23 shares and receive a slice of his profits. The money would fund jaw-dropping projects, films, virtual reality content, the kind of expansion that every one of his fans dreamed of. But this one move started the domino effect where everything was crashing down, because what Jack didn't say here was far more disturbing. This wasn't about his fans having success, it was about saving Jack himself. We later find out that Jack wasn't building a brighter future for Disrupt. He was desperately trying to escape his past. It all started with Jack's decision to buy out his former co-founder, Jordan Warren's share, for a staggering $500,000. It left him down in debt, a dangerous $466,000 hole that included everything from attorney fees to unpaid bills. Jack needed a way out, and he needed it fast, so he came up with a plan to rip off his fans and then use the money to pay off Jack's personal debts. But the betrayal didn't just stop there. Jack's former partner came forward with his own claims, revealing that Jack had twisted the story of their buyout.
Hi there, I am the partner with significant creative differences. Spoiler, there was mention of a Disrupt crypto coin or slinging NFTs. I think that's a misguided interpretation of my vision.
Jack made it seem like he was forced into the deal, but the co-founder said he's lying. Jack had pushed for the buyout on terms that were disastrous for both of them. When the truth came out, the fallout was immediate. Fans were furious, feeling used and betrayed. Disrupt's reputation crumbled down overnight, and eventually Jack left the project, abandoning the channel that had once been his pride and joy. He reappeared later, bizarrely promoting a new channel focused on Orthodox Christianity. But while Jack found his come to Jesus moment, the Nelk Boys made a deal with the devil by preying on their own audience with a scam that makes Logan's Crypto Zoo look like a kid's game. The Nelk Boys are one of the biggest names on YouTube, and they are no strangers to controversy, but their latest move has left their fans feeling shocked, betrayed, and angry. At the center of this storm is their MetaCard project, a launch that brought in a jaw-dropping $23 million in January of 2022, but is now being called a scam by many of its own investors. When the Nelk Boys introduced their MetaCard NFTs, they presented them as a gateway to private events with celebrities, early merch releases, and even potential equity in their podcast. So if you bought into this, you'd enjoy buying their brand new merch, getting invited to their cult meetings, and even be on their podcasts. So without any hesitation, their fans bought each NFT for $2,300, and within a few hours, the Nelk Boys profited over $23 million. And unlike anyone else else on this list, the Nelk Boys actually kept their promise. They had an event with Snoop Dogg, but to everyone's shock, only 300 out of 7,000 NFT holders were actually able to attend. Now this didn't add up. This was the first crack in this story, because after that, the whole thing started to crumble. The Nelk Boys were now being called out for scamming their audience, and this was their response.
We're not building a community, we're continuing to build it, but we've already built one.
But to their delusion, their own holders are now asking, where did the $23 million go? And while these YouTubers don't always face any problems, these streamers are about to be in a world of trouble. So for more videos like this, make sure you're subscribed and watch this video right here.